everyone, and welcome back to the Trainwell podcast, inspiring you to move more, get stronger, and have fun. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in today. Today, we are going to talk about mine and Joey's biggest fitness mistakes that we made. Things we wish we would have known back in the day that if we could convince all of you, don't do these things, we would. So learn from our mistakes and don't make these same mistakes yourself.
Darian, kick us off. Something you wish. You know what? We should also explain this too. And we were just talking about this. You and I both have very different backgrounds of how we came into fitness, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was athletic based, right? Athlete, then of course been coached all my life. Then I went to school for health and exercise science, do internships and practicums. I was in the Division I weight room, right? So I was learning, blah, blah, blah. And then I go right into application and practice, boom, right? And so a lot of this stuff came about just through learning about it, right? I wasn't necessarily exposed differently, but share with how you got into fitness and what your experience was in the bringing up of it.
Yeah, like I was always a super active kid, but I didn't really get into fitness, like just getting in the gym to work out until college. And it came through like a very disordered way. Like I was really feeling bad about the way I looked, had gained weight my freshman year, as so many people do. And I just didn't have the education or resources to know what to do with that. And on top of that, I went through a depression in college because I just had a very hard time in college. I think a lot of people do. And so I got into like dieting, to like way over exercising, like cardio obsessed. And that was kind of my into fitness, unfortunately. And it really took me a lot of like self reflection, lots of learning along the way, lots of self education, research, having mentors that helped me. But, it was a very different journey than yours. And I would say like a less healthy journey than yours.
But I love that because along the way you learned stuff, like you had to figure it out, right? You learned through doing, which I think is the big, we're not even in the topic and we got some juice pouring out through this episode, but I don't want to like talk about what society, because people get on social media, right? They see what somebody else is doing. They're like, oh, I want to do that, or I can do this, right? And it's completely unrelated to what that person should do, right? Or even is it capable of doing. So tell us something that, looking back now, what is something you wish you learned, or what sticks out to you the most?
Yeah, when I look all the way back to like my beginnings of like getting into fitness, it truly was motivated from wanting to lose weight and be skinny. That is like the number one mistake. Now I know that's very hard. That is a lot of people's goal. But that desire for me and not having anyone at that time to help me, I was looking to basically just what I was seeing on like TV. And we talked about this in our episode when we talked about nutrition with Farah the first time. The Special Day K diet was all over every commercial. And that was all I was seeing. So I was like, okay, I need a diet. That's number one. And then the easiest way to work out is cardio machines. And while I did have experience like lifting through high school, you hear messaging about losing weight, you got to do cardio. And so I was just on the elliptical for hours, like literally hours every day. And I would not take a bus to any class, even in the freezing weather. Like literally my eyes froze walking from classes to college because I would not get on a bus because I thought it was like bad to sit down. I needed to be constantly moving. So that's number one. I wish I had never dieted. And I wish, and this is big, I wish I had not been obsessive about my exercise routine. Like I wish I had lifted more weights and less often. Those are my two big things.
But you shouldn't ever see those as regrets, because you know what? You learned a lot through that process, right? And I think that everything, when you look back on it, teaches you something, right? There's always a silver lining to that.
Yeah, for sure. I just like, if there's like any young person, or even if you're not a young person listening to this, please, please, please know that you do not have to kill yourself and starve yourself to feel confident in your body. Because I will tell you, even at my skinniest, an unhealthy, skinny weight, I was probably the saddest, most depressed I ever was. Because changing your body does not lead to happiness. The happiness is internal. And that's the thing that you really need to explore is what's causing this dislike for myself, you know? It's not about the but it's not about what you look like. So that's huge. I mean, that's really deep. We can go deeper, but I'm curious, like Joey, when you think back to the beginning of your journey, what do you think was like the biggest mistake you made?
Oh gosh. I remember when I was in sixth grade, and Fast and Furious just came out, the first one. You know, Paul Walker, Vin Diesel,
Mm-hmm.
and I bought my third or fourth CD, but I bought Eminem 8 Mile, right? So I would go, I would have my little purple boombox, and my mom bought me. Thank you, mom. And I would listen to Eminem, and I'd play 8 Mile. I would play Lose Yourself on repeat, you know, Mom Spaghetti. And I would just do biceps and abs. That's all I would do. Biceps and abs, biceps and abs, biceps and abs. And talk about overtraining. I thought more was better. If I look back
Mm-hmm.
on it, I always thought that what was that, more pain, more gain kind of mentality. You know, I thought the
Yes.
harder I can work, the harder I can sweat, the more.
Yeah.
And I remember I got injured so much, like my elbows always hurt when I was doing so many biceps. My lower back was getting super weak because all I was doing was trunk flexion, right? And I always thought that pain meant progress, right? But it turns out it
Mm-hmm.
was just another date with my foam roller. So that's one of the biggest things looking back now. If I could have just done minimal effective dose, I am a huge proponent of minimal effective dose. What is the maximum amount of benefit I can get from the tiniest amount of work, right? What is that ratio? And so that goes into how I program for not only myself, but my clients, because training is meant to enhance your life. You should never be so sore that you cannot move. Okay. So make sure your training, again, enhances your skill set as a mother, enhances your ability to go play with your kids or whatever it is. Don't be too sore and be like, no, I'm sorry, son, I can't go play ball with you today. My elbows hurt from too many bicep curls.
Yeah, I think that the whole like no pain, no gain, like BS, oh my gosh, and like the no rest days. Cause even once I started lifting more, like less cardio, more lifting. Okay, that's a good switch. But oh my gosh, I was doing 2 a days CrossFit. CrossFit. Like so here's what I was doing. You're going to be like what in the world? So CrossFit prescribed at least initially, I don't know if they still do. I think they do. 3 on, 1 off. If you've ever done CrossFit, you know these workouts are intense. So on top of doing 3 on, 1 off CrossFit, I was also running like powerlifting programs in the background, like doing Wendler programming. And then I was also going and doing like yoga, but like not like restorative yoga, like power yoga. And then I was going for like these long walks and like doing stair runs and things. Like so I was doing like 11 plus workouts a week and thinking this is what's going to make me stronger, and then I would like lose my mind when I was getting diminishing returns, going like why can't I lift anymore, I'm losing strength, and then you think oh got to do more. It's just such like a that is definitely, I couldn't agree more with you about like less is more for the majority of people who are just trying to like be fit and feel good. Less is more.
Less is more. And remember, your joints have a lifeline. All right, Darren, give
Yeah.
us something else that you look back and wish you knew.
Yeah, I guess I would have to talk about like dieting a little bit deeper. Um so like I was one of those people, and I think so many people can relate to this. I did like every diet under the sun. So like it was the Special K diet, then it was vegan, then it was paleo, then it was if it's your macros. Then it was keto, and then like keto what do they call it, cyclical keto or whatever. And then I was doing that with intermittent fasting, and all the while I'm tracking my macros, like doing literally 3 diets at once. And then I was like mind blown when I realized I have an eating disorder again. I wish I could go back to my younger self, like my 19-year-old self who first saw a diet, and say, hey, look, hey, this is, I know that you're feeling pain right now. I know that you're desperate to lose this weight. I know you feel bad about yourself, but this is not the way to do it. Ultimately, this will cause you more harm coming from your future self who has suffered the pain. Don't do this. Just eat with a balanced approach. Just listen to your body. You know when you feel full. Maybe when you go to the dining hall, don't get the burger and the slice of pizza and a scoop of pasta. Maybe just get one of those things and have some water and take some deep breaths. Don't panic. Like it was, that I think truly I wish and like who knows if I would have listened to that person, but like I wish I at least had someone giving me some guidance on like how could I do this without starving myself and causing more harm than good. And it's, I also, not to like talk forever, but I have a lot of regrets about how I trained people back then because I was so disordered and so convinced that restriction and sacrifice was the way, that I trained a lot of my clients in a very, very strict and unhealthy way. And I really, really wish that I hadn't done that.
That's solid. That's solid. Yeah, I had two Hebrew National hot dogs yesterday with pretzel buns. Shout out to Hebrew National. Solid.
Pretzel
Those are the
bun,
best.
that
Those are the
that's
best hot
legit.
dogs on the planet. Yeah. Well said, D. I think dieting, hearing that from a fitness professional, right? People need to hear that, right? Because
Mhm.
it is, people equate this self-deprecating view, like I have to, beat myself up over it, and you need to give yourself some grace. And so that is like compounded when it comes from someone like yourself who's been there, done that. So
Mhm.
well said.
Yeah, what's yours? What's your other, what are more for you?
Oh, there's so many. I would say it would be to never underestimate or overlook my aerobic base, because people, like, yes, lifting is important, right? Super important. And I think it's that we're a strength training platform, but I'll never forget that I lifted after I graduated. Like, all I did was lift, 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 lift. I was doing 5 days a week, and I barely did any cardio because I always hated cardio. It was always punishment, like go run a mile, or you're late to practice or whatnot. Like I hated doing any kind of
Mhm.
aerobic work, and I still believe that cardio work is harder to do than lifting, because lifting, like, you're only under tension for like 45 seconds, if that, right? And so I always overlook cardio. And so now looking back on it, I still think your heart is your healthiest muscle, right? It is what's going to make you recover. Like the better your aerobic system is, you can just light up how you recover. Like you recover faster between sets, between workouts, etc. But anyways, I was lifting 5 days a week, and we dirt bike all the time, right? So I was with my dad, and I was trying to push start him, and I was fit, I was looking strong and lean body fat and all that. But I had to push start him because the bike wouldn't start, and so he got on. And I was pushing him down his property. He lives out in the country, and I was gassed after like two pushes. And he's like, "Don't you work out all the time, son?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do, but that kicked my ass. Like I can only push him a few times. We couldn't even get the bike to start because I had nothing left in my legs." But that was when I realized, wow, like I am severely deconditioned. So I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, but when you go to the doctor, okay, the first thing well, not the first thing, but they'll always put the stethoscope on where your heart, right? And then they'll move it to your lungs. They will never ask you, Darian, what did you bench today, right? So always, always, always don't lose sight of that cardio. Keep it in check because your aerobic base is a priority.
Well, we had like the opposite problem, Joey. I was like excessively doing cardio through like all of college and like not lifting near, like occasionally I would lift, and you were like the opposite. So for the listener, like balance, balance. You can't do one excessively over the other unless you have, again, like very, very specific goals that you're working towards. But for the general health and wellness, a balanced mix of both.
Let's do one more. D,
Yeah.
give us a wrap.
Okay. Another one for me that I think was like a big mistake was, and this kind of goes along with like my issues at the time, right? I was like extremely body focused. I wish I was not weighing myself incessantly.
Mm.
I would weigh myself like multiple times a day, constantly body checking, like eating a meal, getting on the scale, like just ridiculous. And I'm sure most people aren't that extreme, but at this point, outside of going to the doctor, I'm not kidding you. I think it's maybe I've stepped on a scale twice in the last 8 years. Like really figuring out the numbers you're tracking, whatever they may be. If you're tracking something, is it helping you or is it harming you? And especially with weight, your body weight. Um, if you know that number, think about it to yourself right now. Is knowing that number going to make you feel good or going to make you feel bad? Is it going to encourage you to change anything that you're doing right now? Because I would guess if you're weighing yourself, you're probably already aware of, that you're probably already exercising because you care, right? You're probably already exercising, maybe you're eating in a certain way. And if you step on that scale, are you going to feel bad about yourself? Because I can remember feeling great. I can remember one time stepping on the scale after I had my first kid and finally being able to get consistent again with my workouts. And I just felt great. It felt strong. And there happened to be a scale in this gym. And I am, even at that point, I was like, no, I'm not weighing myself anymore person. But at that point, I just thought, let me just jump on the scale. Let me see where things are at. And I went from feeling so good to devastated because that number did not match what I thought in my head. But nothing changed, right? Except I knew a number now. But I just a second earlier felt amazing about myself. And it was that number that just it all came crumbling down. And it just was not worth it. And then and that was this was what I was originally thinking too. To take it way less seriously. To just it like I took it so seriously. Like I got to hit this workout and this workout and this workout and I got to, hit all these lifts and I got to push myself to the max, and just my whole life revolved around this thing, which was fitness. And I did not have worth outside of that to me. And again, I know I'm coming from a very disordered place. Not everyone's going to be coming from this place, but if I could impart something, it would be it's okay to just take it easy. It's okay to not be perfect. Like it like you said, Joey, fitness should add to your life. It should enable you to like and do the things you want to do. It shouldn't be your whole life. And I think that is like super important.
Well said. It's always you always got to keep it in perspective. Like we're not training for Olympic gold medal, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going for gold anymore. So yeah, we have to have some. We're just normal folks, right? I mean, even if you are ultra competitive, I'm not talking to, of course, the professional athletes or the Division 1, but you guys make such a tiny population that most of us speaking, right? Like we need to tone it down a notch. So I wholeheartedly agree. And remember, folks, Darren was saying about the scale, right? Just remember, right? The scale can never measure strength, can never measure confidence, or it can never measure, how good you feel in your body. So remember that. I'll wrap up with this, Darian. I want to talk about sleep because
Mm-hmm.
I've trained like an athlete, but I slept like a like a raccoon in a dumpster. But I think the other point I want to conclude on is I never really warmed up. I think everybody, I was the guy who walked in the gym, didn't skip the cardio stuff, went right to my first set of bench press. And I think I thought I was saving time, but I was actually crediting that because I had months of injury. I think I've had every injury in the book. But I would just tell people to really, I became such a badass, and I still consider myself a badass about creating a warm up. I feel like I create the best warm ups for people, and I'm gonna get a little complex here, but I'll break it down, okay, real quick. I think everybody should Google Charlie Weingroff. Who Charlie Weingroff is? He's a extremely, extremely intelligent physical therapist and trainer. He's a power lifter, but he has a 4-step process with every warm up. Okay, and I'm going to show you that 4-step process real quick. Okay. Number one, it's increased tissue temperature. So when you go to the gym, first thing I want people to do is get them moving, right? Don't, if you're going to scroll through Instagram, might as well be moving. So get on the stairs, get on the treadmill, get on the rower, right? Preferably do something with your hands like the rower, the skier, so you can't look at Instagram or doom scrolling or whatnot. But number one is increased tissue temperature. Okay. Number two is you want to prime the mobility you already have. So next thing you do is do some easy joint stuff, like open up your shoulders, open up your areas that need some love and you don't have cobwebs in there. Okay. Don't be the Tin Man like I was for years, or the guitar string man, because that's how my joints were, right? Number three, you want to crack the nervous system. So you want to do something explosive, and that could be a med ball throw. If you're in your 80s, we all need explosive work, right? So a med ball, like I have grandmas throw medicine balls all the time, right? It's okay. Or if you're elite, you can do like a box jump. Or if you're still recovering, you can even do like some battle ropes, right? Or even at home, you can do some jumping jacks, right? Or feet on fire, right? Feet on fire, when you move your feet really fast, that never beat anybody up, even with knee pain. So crack your nervous system, right? And the last thing is you want to always rehearse the day's training movements. So if you're deadlifting, do some light hinging. If you're squatting, do some air squats. If you're bench pressing, do some push-up plank positions. Not to get in too depth, but really have a good warm-up routine. Have a system, right? Have your trainer at least have a system, because you want to thoroughly prep your body. You want to thoroughly be prepared for your training sessions. And even if that all can be done, that entire routine can be done in under 5 minutes, okay? If you don't believe me, sign up for Trainwell. We'll show you how to get it done, but have a good warm up. Don't skip it. Don't ever underutilize that important tool of warming up.
I think that's a great tip. So hopefully everyone listening can learn from our mistakes. Don't repeat the mistakes we made. We're trying to set you up for success. So if you do need some extra help, though, of course, like Joey said, sign up for Trainwell, get matched with your very own personal trainer, and you can try us out for 14 days completely free. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode.
Please share the show with your friends, your parents, your dogs, your cats. We'd love to hear from you too. So feel free to text us, email us with more content that you'd like to hear. See you guys next time.
Bye.